Alright, so it's Thursday night. We're back at it, potting up the tomatoes. I didn't lose any from the ones we potted up last night, which is a good thing. The challenge now is going to be finding the space for everything. So real quick, I've got another 18 pots ready to go. I'll be doing 2 more trays. I'll be saving 9 plants from each variety that's left here. So I'll show you what I got going. So here's 18 pots. Again, these are pretty nice. I should be able to use these at least another season or 2. Maybe longer than that, depending on how well we take care of them. Got my little Pro Mix here. I add water to it just so that it cuts down on the dust. And then another little pro tip. I'm using these automotive gloves. And that's to keep your hands from getting like little splinters things, because this potting mix has all kinds of stuff in there, including like little chewed up twigs and kind of woody material. So wear those gloves, keeps your hands clean, and they're thin enough that you can still feel what you're doing, and works out pretty good. So start out by getting all my cups ready to go. Instead of using the plant markers, which you can use, I'm using painter's tape. So what I did was just tore off 18 little strips, kind of tagged them on my workbench here. Slapped the labels on all my cups so I can write down what variety is going to be in each pot. Then I filled the pots with a good 2 handfuls of potting mix, kind of push it down so there's good contact for the wicking action when we set them at the bottom water. And then I took a handful of worm castings and dropped it into each pot, so that way they're not completely dependent on my inputs, so to speak, as far as fertilizer application. You know, if I miss some time or whatever, they've got a nutrient source that's in here that they can go off of. And then finished it off with another handful of potting mix. Tamp that all down. We're going to take our dibber and we're going to go about as far down as the stems are tall here, so about 2 to 3 inches, probably good 2 inches is what we would go right in the center. Just kind of drill down and kind of widen that hole as we go. We're going to do that to each cup. And then what I'm going to do is pry out a row which represents a variety here. So like that's the terracotta tomatoes. Those germinated pretty well. The terracotta tomatoes are the ones, they were like $5 for a seed packet. And the reason why is because, you know, once I got like a couple different good fruit off of those and actually got into them to save seeds, there's maybe like 6 to 10 seeds, if that, in the whole thing. It's really meaty, not a lot of seeds at all, so I can see where, you know, I had to price them higher. But anyway, I got pretty good germination rate. This past season, those plants didn't do very well in my garden. I only got maybe 6 good tomatoes off of like 3 plants. And the 2 that looked the best, I saved for seed. And then the rest we ate, and they've got good flavor and stuff. So I was going to give them a try again this year and see if we have a different result. If they still do poorly, I probably won't plant them again because it just wouldn't be worth it. So anyway, we're going to dig these out. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and dig out our terracottas here. Got my little wedgie tool here. I'm just going to kind of cut down the side here. What we're going to do is pull these apart. We want to put them on the bench here so we can kind of see how the rootstocks are relative to each other. But again, we have quite a few tomato plants here. There's a variety of ways you can go about doing this stuff. I mean, I'm doing things on kind of a small scale, so this works for me. But you know, if we were doing this on a larger scale, there's probably more efficient ways of getting things potted up. Now I already have some decent ones here. See if we can pan the camera so you can see the rootstocks, the differences. The difference between that and like this. I mean, that doesn't have much of a root on it at all compared to this. It's kind of wrapped around those little potting mix. But just looking at how much potting mix some of these were able to hold relative to the others. You know, maybe there's a little bit of roots from some of these others we pulled apart, but for the most part, these pulled away pretty easily. So probably these 4 or 5 are my best so far. We'll see what's in the rest of this brick. As far as if there's maybe one that's a little bit better. When I'm pulling these away too, I'm trying to handle them by the little seed leaves. Just trying to be pretty gentle with them. I'm not holding them by the stem because I don't want to crush the stem. Whereas the seed leaf, I can put some pressure on that to pull these apart. And even if I were to rip a seed leaf, that's not the end of the world. It's got another set of true leaves that are coming behind it. And the seed leaves are going to slough off at some point anyway, so alright, so we got a fair amount there. There's probably at least 20. A few more. I've got 2 more that are up here I didn't bring down. So we'll pick our best ones. Again, probably the ones that have a good little root ball, straight stem. Looks pretty good. Alright, so the next step is to pot them up. So I've got my pots ready. I'm just going to be taking these and kind of dropping them over the hole, the ones that we want to go with. And again, we're only going to pot up 9 of these. And by the time I get done potting up the varieties here, I will have about 90 tomato plants, which is more than enough for me. But it gives me plenty to share with people, and also just to have some backup in the garden, so that if some of the initial plantings die off for whatever reason, I can backfill them. So there we go. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of take my finger and poke that down in there, like so. Try not to break off the roots from the stem. That's why you want to make the hole, you know, fairly wide, so it's easy to push this down right in there, right, without damaging it. I'm trying to get as much of the stem in the pot as I can, because there's little follicles on the stem, little hairs that will morph into roots. You know, so the more of the stem initially I can get in there, the better off, the stronger the plant will be ultimately, because it's going to create more of a root ball, be able to draw up more nutrients. So there you have it.